We have our next speaker coming up in a second, and that's Sebastian Krause. He's the general manager of IBM Cloud for IBM Europe. Now, he has 28 years of experience in IT and over 3 years of experience in cloud for IBM. He also brings tons of experience from his travels, cultural experience. And today he's going to tell us why we need an architecture for a multi-cloud world to bring together all of the clouds that are out there. So please help me welcome to the stage with a big round of applause, Sebastian Krause.
Alex.
Thank you for coming.
Alex, thank you so much. Alex, thank you so much, and welcome everyone here in Hall 12 at CEBIT 2018 to the D-Talk Summit for Cloud and Data. And I'd also like to welcome everyone that is following us on the live stream. So welcome to you as well. I hope you are enjoying the summit and the cloud and data discussions that we are having here at the CEBIT. Well, Alex mentioned it before. We are living in a multi-cloud world. So welcome to a multi-cloud world. Welcome to a world that becomes more and more complex as technology is certainly evolving. I think we are all convinced that cloud technology, cloud computing, has established itself now as a platform for innovation. And we are most likely in the third phase of cloud technology. The first phase being a phase that has been characterized by cloud being used for cost reduction, for driving efficiency and effectiveness in the infrastructure. The second phase that we have observed, that from an IBM perspective, is that cloud has been used for process re-engineering, for modernization of the existing architecture, and for connecting the digital world, the digital devices, to the back-end structures. But now in the third phase of cloud computing, it is really about innovation, it is about transformation, and it is about the business value that the cloud is bringing to companies, independent of the size, independent of industries. And as Alex said before, certainly startups are embracing cloud as a fundamental technology to basically drive their competitive advantages through the business model that they have. But it's also very, very clear, and I think you could have seen this in the agenda of today's Cloud Summit, that it's important that it's not just one cloud that is existing, but that we are living in a multi-cloud world, meaning that different applications, different workloads need to go on different clouds that are made and purposefully designed for those kind of applications and workloads. That's why IBM has been very, very much driving a hybrid cloud strategy, a multi-cloud strategy right from the beginning. And we also believe that we have coined the phrase of hybrid cloud computing and multi-cloud computing. And that's how our strategy is composed. And I'd like to talk about architectures in a multi-cloud environment today, as well as how we can help you on that multi-cloud journey to become successful and to execute your business objectives as well as your technology objectives. But before I do, I thought it would be maybe useful to take a look with a little video what kind of use cases are existing today and how cloud is being used, especially to drive these innovations and new technologies for different applications than we would normally think of. So let's take a look at the video.
Today, there are more sensors on our planet than people. We're putting AI into everything, and everything into the cloud. It's all so smart, but how do you work with it? Ask this farmer. He's using satellite data to help increase crop yields. That's smart for the food we eat. At this port, supply chains are becoming more transparent with blockchain. That's smart for millions of shipments. In this lab, researchers are working with Watson to help them find new treatments. That's smart for medicine. At this bank, the world's most encrypted mainframe is helping prevent cybercrime. That's smart for everyone. And in Africa, IoT sensors and the IBM Cloud are protecting endangered animals. That's smart for rhinos. Yeah, rhinos. Because smart only really matters when we put it to work. Not just for a few of us, but for all of us. Let's put smart to work.
All right, so I hope this little video has introduced a couple of use cases that most likely you would not think immediately of when you think about cloud computing. So it is about use cases like Internet of Things, like analytics, like artificial intelligence, like blockchain, that are really being put onto the cloud, where cloud capabilities are being leveraged, and where all industries are currently driving a competitive advantage. And there are a couple of things that, while doing this, I think industries, customers, companies are realizing when they are entering in this multi-cloud world. So first of all, I think it's a reality that it's not just one cloud that is currently being used. We have made some analysis and we have done some research, and we believe that there are more than 7 clouds on average that are being used in an enterprise company. And of course, the reason why there are so many clouds that are being used is because there are applications, workloads that are made for different purposes, and hence the clouds are made for different purposes. And certainly, as we are advancing into these worlds, into these different clouds, we also need to ensure that we are integrating everything that has been invested in before. There are decades of investments that went into the infrastructure, into application logic, into processes, that needs to be nurtured and that wants to be brought forward into the new world, into the digitized world, and connected to the cloud and made use of. And then certainly, what we are also seeing in terms of new ways on the cloud computing is that the cloud becomes very intelligent. Whether it's the capabilities that I have articulated before, or whether it's artificial intelligence, there are services that you want to make use of immediately so that you have time to speed and time to market. And this is what customers are demanding today, what companies are demanding today, because there are almost infinite possibilities with regards to cloud computing. So this is why it's so important to have an architecture that embraces multi-cloud capabilities and that is made for multi-cloud purposes, for orchestration, for management, for administrations, and so forth. Because your future, the future of your company, is truly riding on that cloud architecture that you are defining today. Most likely, the architecture you're defining right now will last for the next 5 to 10 years, and hence it's really a baseline for the business, certainly for the IT infrastructure that you are laying today. So with that, let me look into a few attributes of a multi-cloud world that we have identified. Of course, and I mentioned that before, there is still the need to reduce cost, but also to gain control. Even in a multi-cloud world, you want to make sure that you are controlling everything that is happening in your operating environment. Whether it's on the application side, whether it's on data, specifically with all the regulations that are happening, it's important to be able to be always in control of what is happening. You want to innovate with record speed, so you need to ensure that you have the connectivity capabilities that are required for new services, as well as for connecting to your legacy applications and to your legacy infrastructure. And needless to say, you want an intelligent cloud, artificial intelligence, IoT, blockchain, industry frameworks. That is something that should be put onto a cloud and be part of an architecture by itself. And needless to say that a cloud needs to be secure. Whether it's the infrastructure, whether it's the monitoring, the management, all those capabilities have to be secure, but you also need to, the cloud needs to be secure in terms of where data is being put, what data location can be chosen, who is accessing the data, and how the data is being handled. And data is certainly a very important aspect of the architecture, given that this is the true currency of today's economy. And then needless to say, open and trusted in a multi-cloud world. You want to work with open architectures, with open capabilities, and with open standards, and you need definitely the performance in today's world that is required in today's world on your cloud environment. But there are also some paradigms, as I would call it, some realities that people have to accept when it comes to a multi-cloud world. First of all, it is hybrid. As I said, by nature, at least 7 to 10 cloud will be residing in an enterprise, and they need to be managed, hopefully in an entirety and in an integrated fashion. The second reality, we believe, is that containers are the future. Container architectures are giving you the flexibility, the innovation power that you need to comply to today's business needs, but also to integrate your IT landscape and your IT architectures. And then last but not least, as innovation is the only way forward, you want to embrace everything that you have today, and you want to be able to also embrace and anticipate your future developments and how you are bringing your future business models and residing IT architectures into that landscape. So it's very important to think about those three things, to accept that reality when it comes to your architecture, so that indeed you can innovate with the speed that is required in your industry and in your business. So when we then talk about how do I get onto the cloud and how will I ensure that I can start this journey in a proper way or continue the journey in a proper way, because most companies are already on cloud, but now they are expecting and they are seeing the innovation power that it has, so they want to accelerate the speed and accelerate the journey that they are on. So there are multiple ways of how to conduct that. First of all, there is the classical lift and shift. This is where you are using standardization, where you are putting your virtualized environment into the cloud, the low-hanging fruit, as I would call it. Then, of course, there are workloads which are already cloud native. They are born on the cloud, which are easily going onto the cloud and which are using the technical capabilities and architecture of a modern cloud world as of today. Sometimes you might want to refactor your applications because they are so important to you, they are playing a mission-critical role, that a lift and shift might not work because you are losing capabilities or flexibility. So to refactor and to rewrite that application might be something that could be of value for you as well. And then last but not least, you need to tackle the complexity of hybrid data. Data is really the currency of today's economy. It's the gold, so to speak, of a competitive advantage. And data plays a role not only in your own environment, but you will also have data that comes from multiple sources. 80% of today's data sits behind firewalls, so it cannot be searched by prominent search engines. It is something that is only residing in the walls of your company. But in order to connect this data, which are truly your assets, and enrich the data with third-party data, either social media, data that you might have been bought, data that you are getting through your value chain, you need to have a cloud architecture that brings it all together and that allows you to really execute in an operating framework that not only ingests the data, but also manages it, controls it, is able to analyze it and expose it to other services such as artificial intelligence. So therefore, when you think about that architecture, there are really, I would say, three layers, three components to think about. The application layer, the infrastructure, and then, of course, where are your locations? And those three things have to be considered in the architecture that you are designing for your future. On the application side, truly the question is, what kind of services do you have? What kind of components do you have? Do you have just one architecture, multiple architectures? One environment, one platform, multiple environment, multiple platforms? What kind of existing middleware do you have? What kind of architecture is it residing on, and how do you connect with your applications to the external environment? How would you leverage your legacy capabilities, legacy applications, or how do you use capabilities that are residing on the mainframe, the powerful capabilities that a mainframe architecture is providing, such as encryption, for example? How do you make sure that you can use those capabilities in your cloud architecture? And of course, as we know, many software as a services implementations are being implemented today. Many capabilities are only being sold as a service, so hence that is also an important question, how to take those as a service capabilities into your multi-cloud environment and into your multi-cloud architecture. Then of course, when it comes to the infrastructure, that is also an area that is rapidly developing. It's rapidly developing from a technology perspective and certainly also from an architecture perspective. As you know, today everything is a containerized world when it comes to native cloud applications. That is the way to go, and to make sure that you are using the flexibility that container are providing. But certainly in most likely 80% of today's IT infrastructures, we are dealing with virtual worlds, with the VMs that are being deployed, and they need to be integrated certainly into the new infrastructure or into the evolved infrastructure for the future. And what kind of functions do you have in that infrastructure that are being executed and that are vital to your business, and how do they all relate in that infrastructure so that you are not losing automation and that you can go forward in the way that you are used to. And then last but not least, the location. The location is extremely important. I think it's well known now and well accepted that it's not only about the public cloud, it's also about private cloud behind a firewall. It's about managed clouds and it's about self-service clouds. So the location of where your cloud is residing and how many clusters you might be having and how these clusters are connected are also playing a very important role when it comes to the architecture. When it comes to cloud management, that is equally important. Because let's face it, what is the world today? Today, when you have to manage a multi-cloud environment, you have to think about the tools, the processes, who can access it, and do you have one integration point? In most cases, that is not the case, because it might be just an application-centric management that has been applied and that has been implemented, but not a cloud-centric management capability. So important to make sure that these multi-cloud management capabilities are being thought of and that hopefully you have one integration point and one architecture that allows you to do multi-cloud management from one pane of glass and with one console. And that is the trick with regards to the architecture that we are talking about. And just to elaborate on that, on the architecture and the way of where the location is and what kind of deployment forms of cloud you might favor. Certainly it's about the best deployment for the workload that you have chosen. Sometimes that might be that you want to deploy on a public cloud and you want to have your compute capabilities and your data capabilities on the public cloud. You might also want to separate the compute and the data on the public cloud, so containerized capabilities will help you to do that and to distribute both data and compute in the best way possible. And of course, you might think about a dedicated cloud environment, which brings you all the advantages of dedication, of having an instance in a single tenant environment. And still, you have to think about data and compute and how do you basically tunnel into that environment, how would you leverage your existing IP addresses and so forth. And then last but not least, the private cloud environment is also a very interesting alternative when it comes to cloud capabilities. And we see that right now in the market to be being accepted more and more, specifically when it comes to how to modernize the current IT infrastructure, how to use then this architecture to seamlessly integrate into a public cloud and have all sorts of multi-cloud environments and deployment factors present. So thinking about all these attributes, I have talked about the attributes that we have to think about when it comes to multi-cloud environments. We talked about the need in a multi-cloud environment, and we have talked about the multiple layers in a multi-cloud environment that have to be thought about. When you think about that, it basically resonates in the fact that you need to have one architecture. One architecture that allows you to deal with multiple cloud environments, but that also gives you the flexibility, the speed for innovation. So this is the architecture that we are driving from an IBM perspective, and in fact that we have been implementing. Whether you are coming from a cloud native application and you want to integrate back into your enterprise, as depicted on this chart here on the left side, or whether you are starting on the enterprise side and you are going rather towards the cloud, the architecture should be the same, and it should have the capabilities to integrate multiple clouds and all of the aspects that I have been talking about before. So we have really built a very strong foundation with the architecture that we have to be similar on the private cloud side as well as on the public cloud side, leveraging containerized architectures, bringing on top the various services that are needed to ensure that there is an integration layer and that you can, independently of where you are deploying your capabilities, drive agile DevOps capabilities so that you can really drive the innovation that you need on that one architecture. Whether it's the modernization of your architecture, whether it's new development, or whether it's a distributed approach that you want to select with your workloads and with your applications, this is truly the architecture that makes it all happen. If I go into a little bit of more details, and I'm really showing you a fraction of what we have on the cloud, certainly the service catalog is very important. And of course, the cloud infrastructure have to have its core components, as you see depicted here on the bottom of this chart, with compute, with networking, with storage capabilities. Let's take that for granted. Every cloud provider will have that. Maybe it's a question of whether they can scale or not, but these are capabilities that are given. But the real differentiating factor in the architecture and how you are dealing with multi-cloud environments is how you can deal with the value-add services, as I would call them, that are sitting on top of the infrastructure layer. It is really about, do you have a data ingestion capability and data ingestion engine that allows you to deal with the volume of data that you have in your entire operating environment, including external parties and third parties. Are you able to do that? Are you able to expose the data in such a way that you can use it for additional services such as cognitive services, artificial intelligence, so that you are gaining more insights and more patterns are coming to life that you can use in your business model, whether it's to improve your customer experience, whether it's to change the business model, whether it's come forward with new algorithms and new offerings. This is what these capabilities are able to do once you have established a proper foundation for your hybrid data. And then last but not least, there are services that you should expect from your cloud provider that are helping you to speed up and innovate faster when it comes to frameworks for an industry or for certain capabilities. So we are providing industry frameworks for multiple industries, for the financial sector, for automotive, for the industrial sector, for health, for education, and so on. But equally important for us is to provide you capabilities for Internet of Things, for blockchain capabilities, for DevOps, and so forth. So that is the value add capabilities that is sitting in the architecture that I've mentioned before, and the services that you can immediately make use of. So now let me roll a second video to indicate how one of our customers are using this one architecture to integrate multiple clouds, even to, in fact, to deploy some of our capabilities on other people's cloud, and to integrate it in one environment. This customer is Hertz, the auto rental car company, and they are, of course, a global player. They integrate multiple clouds and multiple environments. And the video that you will see is from a conference where John Lafreniere, their Vice President of IT Architecture, is talking about the implementation in a multi-cloud environment using IBM's architecture. He will speak about something like ICP, which is our IBM Cloud Private capability, which has exactly this architecture ingrained that I was talking about before, and how he integrates and expands into the public world. So let me roll this video for you.
We had a project that was struggling a little bit, and so we brought it into the garage, took on the garage methodologies, and saw instant results, instant delivery, code written day one. You know, this is test-driven development. Take that a little bit further with this particular application, our rates application. We needed to also then deploy this not just in the IBM Cloud, but we needed to deploy this in a third-party cloud as well. So we're leveraging IBM Cloud Private, ICP, to take that application and not just deploy it to a third-party cloud, another vendor's cloud, but we're deploying it and keeping it synchronized through a cloud and data structure. And this is an application that will take about 1.5 billion hits a day, and we do about 30 million updates a day to this platform. So those updates will be rolling into the IBM Cloud, leveraging Cloud and synchronizing across to the third party on the ICP deployed container strategy.
So I think that was a good proof point that this architecture that I have talked about is not a fiction. It is existing, it's reality. It's part of our multi-cloud and hybrid cloud strategy. We have put it in place based on the demands that we are seeing for decades now, and the experience we have for decades in the IT industry, and what customers really want to do. So this is the architecture for enterprise cloud computing, and how to deal with the challenges that we are having in today's world. So we would be happy to help you. We are pleased to help you with our experience. We bring a lot of capabilities to the table, not only the architecture and the strategy, but also the capabilities with regards to consulting capabilities. We bring a broad ecosystem to the table, and we certainly can help you to understand how to continue the journey on your cloud, how to manage it successfully, and also to define the vision, as well as to make sure that you can harvest the low-hanging fruits while you are on that journey to the cloud, and while you are implementing an architecture that is proven for the future, proven for solid success, and is also proven for a multi-cloud world in which we are in. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing for me to do. It's to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for being here with us at the Cloud Summit. And then certainly, let me welcome you again in a multi-cloud world. Thank you.